afternoon. Thank you for joining the iFabric Investor Update webinar. iFabric is listed on the TSX with the ticker IFA and on the OTCQX with the ticker IFABF. The company has a suite of technologies from antimicrobials, water repellents, and UV protection technologies that render fabrics intelligent. Hilton Karen is the president and CEO of iFabric Corp, who is joined with Giancarlo Bevis, who's the CEO of the Intelligent Fabric Division. Today, they'll provide an investor update, and we'll follow that with a question and answer period. So questions can be asked during the webinar or emailed to tina@adcap.ca or inputted in the Q&A box below. As always, the discussion may contain some forward-looking information, so please review the disclaimers on the company's presentation on their website. Hilton and Giancarlo, thanks for being here. It's been a while since our last update. So for anyone new, why don't you just provide a quick overview of the business and then we'll get into the Q&A.
All right, thanks, Tina. Thanks everyone for taking the time to join us. For those of you not familiar with iFabric Corp, we are a company that has two completely independent divisions. One is the Intelligent Fabric Technologies, which is a technology provider to, right now, the soft surface, the clothing industry, and we'll get into what that's about in a minute. And the other division is our Coconut Grove Intimates division, which is a 20-plus-year lingerie business with specialty products that we provide to major retailers, primarily in North America and the UK. So the Intelligent Fabrics, which is clearly the shining star of the corporation with the long-term growth goal that we have started on that journey, is a company we started around 2007. And for those new investors, I think what's important to understand is this is not a COVID play, because as early as 2007 and 2008, we started working on antibacterial and antiviral products for applications primarily into the medical space. So truth be known, what we've done in going commercial prior to that and up to now has primarily been supplying to the retail and the sporting goods industry in the apparel space, and not as much to the medical space. The medical space is really the holy grail of where we're going in the long term of this company, and that's where we see really the higher margin and the real value of what we're building as a company. We will certainly not ignore the sporting goods. That business is too large a segment to ignore, and that's growing very nicely. But the medical space will give us the value of all the hard work that we've put in. We've got a suite of technologies from antibacterial to antiviral. We've got next generation products in the works. We've got a suite of probably, and if you can go on our website afterwards at iFabricCorp.com, there is an investor presentation that will outline all the technologies. I believe there's at least a dozen there. Each one of these is actually a business unto itself. We are a unique company in that most of our competitors focus on one of those technologies as their sole business. We've really developed a real unique way of making hybrid products out of our technologies. And the real core separator that separates us as a business is that our background is apparel design and production. So the uniqueness and what sets us apart, and really there's no direct competitor of ours that focuses on developing technology and developing product. So we have the unique opportunity and have taken advantage of it. And the results is why we've grown so exponentially last year to this year, is purely based on supplying products that we've designed, developed, and manufactured and supplied with our technologies to premier brands around the world, primarily North America. So I think that gives an overview of who we are as a business. We are certainly not a COVID play business. And if one speaks to the medical community and listens to what they have to say, they're concerned about what's the next pathogen and more bacterial based and antiviral. So we believe we are uniquely poised to really continue to be relevant for well into the future, because unfortunately these kinds of nuisances to society will always be there, and we will always have our relevant place to help protect society in one form or another. So I think that we did put out in our last release some guidance as to our performance over the last 12 months. I think it is clearly evident the last 2 quarters were significantly up on last year. We had a record year in revenue for the company, which is a phenomenal milestone. I think we could have quite easily have achieved that 2 years ago, never mind last year. We were on track to do those kind of numbers. I think that what is also very encouraging is that even this last financial year, the first 2 quarters were with still a lot of lockdown in North America still in place, and yet we still managed to come out with record numbers. And of course, the last 2 quarters have been really enjoying what we've been working on so hard and for so long. We continue to have record bookings going forward into our next financial year. So we're really, everything is remaining on track for continued growth in the kind of trajectory that we've demonstrated we are able to deliver in 2021 going into 2022. So an exciting year ahead. We've got a lot of new programs that we have discussed that will be launched online as new offerings. This is nothing to do with anything that we've done, so it's completely new impact to our business in terms of revenue and growth. We've got some other additional new market segments that we're busy developing products, so that's new business for us going into next year. And once we've completed the development stage, we'll be announcing that project. So I think that all in all, we've come out of this looking pretty good and really working hard to make 2022 another record year for the company.
Just in terms, you mentioned the press release and the financials that came out last week. I think you're approaching 20 million for the September 2021 fiscal year end, and the numbers you put out are unaudited, but we'll get the fuller update towards year end. But can you give some color on how that compares to the previous year and what the primary growth drivers were?
The real explosive growth has been in the IFTNA division. So the predominance of sales is in the IFTNA division, which is no surprise to us. The lingerie business, with people still being at home and social gatherings still being a little hesitant, our specialty products for that industry are coming back, but not nearly at the pace of what our intelligent division is enjoying in terms of growth, and keeping in mind that all the product that we shipped in 2021 had to be designed in 2020. So this is the kind of confidence that companies have had in us, that even in the depth of the pandemic, when we said we were working on projects, we were working on projects and people were believing in us, and we were still hard at the development. These goods were produced in COVID times and were delivered in COVID times. So it's business as usual, and our development team and our staff have been hard at it. Yes, we've been working more remotely than, and it's just the new way of the world, but we've been rather busy in the last 12 months, and you don't do record sales sitting at home on the couch.
Yeah, and I think the fiscal 2020 number was 11.5 million revenue. So
correct,
it's a
that was from,
jump.
and it's so you're close to double that number year over year.
Yeah, and profitable too, which is nice for a small cap company and rare to find, I find.
Absolutely.
And one of the other recent events was the warehouse tour that we held last week. It was great to see some investors come as well. There are a few significant standouts for me. One was the value of the warehouse itself. The other was how you're managing the supply chain. So can you talk about both of those things? Obviously, COVID has created supply chain issues for a lot of companies.
Sad but true, we had more visitors than we've had at an AGM. So you investors, if you need us to buy you lunch to come and visit us, we'll buy you lunch. Yeah, it was nice for people to see who we are and our operation and spend some time with us and sit around the table face to face again and respond to investor questions and for them to hear from us directly what our future plans and what our future looks like. Our warehouse is growing and continues to grow. And in fact, we were so busy this year that we had to use third-party warehousing because our facility couldn't handle the amount of goods we had coming and flowing through. And truth be told, without having record amount of goods flowing through, we wouldn't have performed at record levels financially. That being said, we don't have enough room this year for the additional. So we will be doing another renovation to our building probably over the Christmas, New Year, to increase our capacity to probably bring in another 6-8 containers worth of stock in addition to whatever we had last year, so that we can deliver to our customers and continue to try to work as much through our local and our warehouse directly and not use third party if we can avoid it at any cost. Should be noted, I think it was interesting for the investors to see that a good part of our warehouse is a bonded warehouse, because from a cash flow perspective, we land goods into Canada, but we can preserve 15 to 18% of outflow of cash and only pay for the duty when we actually, the week before we have to ship the goods to a customer. So it's a great cash flow tool that we use to make sure that we preserve our cash flow.
We were talking about warehouse expansions. That's all funded with cash on hand.
Yes, yes. It's going to be a great addition. It's moving, a couple of major walls in the building. I think with staff still, I think this is the way of the world, with staff working so many days at home, going to be the norm. And we certainly are quite adept, and the staff are quite efficient at working that way. We're going to have flex space. We're going to have an open office plan for a good % of our staff going forward. And we'll be able to more than handle whatever significant growth we have with the office space that we'll have remaining. It'll still be quite a significant space that we can operate out of, but we certainly need as much warehouse as we can.
And what about the supply chain? What kind of bottlenecks have you been seeing, and how have you been able to navigate that? Listen,
we're no different to the rest of the world. It's not the supply manufacturing. It's becoming a little bit of a problem. I mean, everybody would like us not to be working in China. You can't flick a switch. We can't fly overseas to these other countries right now, although the last few weeks, certainly things are opening up. But it takes time to onboard new supply. So we have to go with the quality and the reliability of who we've built this business on to this point. I think that the biggest hurdle, of course, is logistics and shipping. I'm pleased to say that, yes, we had some containers outside LA with no date in mind. And believe it or not, one got delivered yesterday and the next one's being delivered next Monday. So we're talking about a week here and a week there, where I've heard people have 3-month and 4-month delays on getting goods. So call it fortuitous, whatever it is. We are cautioning our customers going forward to give us significant additional time to manufacture so that we can bring it in time for their particular season. So we are adding significantly in the unlikely event, worst comes to worst. Another reason we're building the warehouse, the addition, is that, yes, the worst thing is we'll get goods in a month or 2 early and have the goods lying on the shelf ready to go when the retailers are ready to take it in. So, we're just doing the prudent thing to be cautious and building in extra production time, or it's really shipping time.
And kind of shifting focus to some of your key customers, launched with Tumi, you've announced Springs Window Fashions. Any specific updates that you can share with us on how these programs are going, or whether or not you plan to expand these contracts?
I can talk to that. So I believe the Springs Window Fashion has launched a few products across their product line, and the intention is to expand it further. Again, it just kind of takes that whole developmental timeline. So because they started making these fabrics probably February of this year, now they're only finally getting into market now. I know there are plans to expand not just only from commercial but into residential lines with Springs, which is a big, massive part of their business. So we'll continue to explore that. Tumi has continuously bought since they signed the contract. But as we continue through COVID, I'm sure that the growth will just be organic there. I know that their parent company, Samsonite, has expressed interest in furthering the use of our technologies and through some of their other product lines that are not just Tumi in the high end side of life, but into the everyday kind of luggage as well, which is a big win for us because they had originally gone with a different technology, and obviously ours has performed head and shoulders above what they went with originally, and they're now being replaced by us. So we went to the top. I mean, you can always go down, but it's difficult to go up once you've gone in there. So I'm sure we'll see some organic growth with Tumi and the Samsonite group as well.
Okay, great. And on the topic of, I guess, of Protex 2, can you provide a bit of a clinical trial update?
We're tentatively scheduled to start the clinical trial February 1st. The only bottleneck has been the production of the actual scrubs we need to put on the people in the clinical trial. So our scrub partner are the ones who manufacture the scrub. They rely heavily on Vietnam and Cambodia for their cut and sew process. So with those two countries and regions just starting to reopen after an additional closure from COVID, we're just trying to get ourselves into the pipeline to make sure that goods are here on time. Right now, we seem to be on track. So as long as we don't see any other closures or anything along those lines, we should be on track to start February 1st, 2022.
And what about Repeltex? Any updates on how things are progressing with customers on the water repellent side?
Yeah, I guess the main customer there would be the North Face. They've accepted it on a host of their fleece qualities. Now it's just a matter of fitting it in line in season. So obviously with the production delays and all the delay in their stock, they've shifted seasons forward because they have the goods they wanted 4 months ago that they're just receiving now. So we've shifted a few months, but the plan is to launch it. Forget which season it is. I think it's fall of 2022. We should see a lot of those hoodies and a lot of the zip up hoodies and things of that nature using Repeltex. And then we're negotiating some other things with regards to a license arrangement around Repeltex as well. So that's to be seen where we end up with that. But I think that they really believe in the technology. It's been a real win for them. They've done a whole host of wear trials, which they give it to guys to go climb mountains and come back out and see if it actually works in real life, as opposed to what we can do in a lab. And it's performed fantastically. They've started to use another one of our technologies, Biotex, that we announced 3 and 4 months ago, I think. That's expanded because they have an eco-active line that's launching as well. So where we thought we'd be in maybe 5 to 10 textiles, I think we're probably in about 75 different textiles across the board. So now we'll be pretty entrenched with Protex 2, Biotex, and Repeltex Eco Plus within the North Face family of products.
And we got a little preview of the Repeltex at the warehouse tour too. I've got a short video clip of the demo. If anyone wants to see it, I can send them an email. Now you've got as we've talked about multiple times, about 20 different technologies, and you're using some of those technologies on an Amazon private label launch. So can you give us the update on the 2 programs that you're launching with Amazon and expected timing? Sure.
So we have 2 owned brands that we've given exclusively to Amazon.ca and .com. They have already launched on Amazon.ca. We're just trying to finalize the AdWords and getting us to the tops of the pages and linking everything, but they are available for sale as of a few days ago on Amazon.ca, and that would be Under It, which is a line of base layer, excuse me, that uses both Protex 2, Dry-Tex, and I believe we even use Temp-Tex on that product as well, which is a warming technology. And then we launched a line of men's, women's, and kids' underwears, which is called a week's worth. The reason it's a week's worth, it's a 7-pack, so you get a fresh pair every single day. Those also use Dry-Tex and Protex from a performance underwear perspective. And Amazon seems really excited about it, excited enough to want it exclusively for themselves. It's got a value proposition, obviously being a 7-pack for performance underwear. With some brands, you'd spend $35 for one pair. I think you're getting 7 pairs for in or around $36.99, which is a fantastic value. And the fabric, the technology, the quality is all equivalent to what you'd buy, what you get with that $35 each unit product. Styling, all on trend, prints that are very current, all of that kind of stuff. We've had some fantastic reviews so far. And then I believe we should be able to launch on the .com by the end of next week. Goods have arriving at the end of this week into Texas. So hopefully we can be live by the end of the following week and catch some of those holiday sales for stocking stuffers as we get into the season.
Are you still on track for your own private line versus? I think
yes, yeah. So I would suspect those goods, they're going to leave before Chinese New Year. When they get here is anyone's guess, but we expect to get them here around the end of March. I don't see that's being pretty cautious with delivery timing. So if we can get it here around the end of March, we'll do the big launch around the beginning of April. The fabrics and the protos have come in. It looks fantastic. The fabric, I mean, I think the sweater that you took a video of at the tour is the quality of the sweater that you'll see in the Versus line. So it's beautiful product in the ilk of a Lululemon type quality and fabric and all of that kind of stuff, but all infused with very different technologies that you wouldn't normally see with your major big brands. And everything we're doing in that line will have an impact on your daily life. So again, whether it's a hoodie that's water repellent or anything else along those lines, I think people will really respond to the line and what it represents.
Yeah, well, I've got a number of base layers at home, so I'm looking forward to getting the cotton sweater.
The sweater and the new pants are really beautiful products. So you'll have to let us know once you get them.
Yeah, for sure.
Discounts though.
I'm paying full price. I'm helping out the stock. Do you guys have any updates on the laundry additive?
We're working with CBI to try and get to take over their private label business on a laundry additive, which they were using a different technology that kind of didn't do what they thought it would do. So we're working with them to try and get that done. Unfortunately, because it didn't do what they said it would do, they haven't sold through it. So we're kind of waiting for them to get rid of the massive amount of stock that they bought in that. And then as far as the South Africa contract that we signed with it, I think the biggest challenge there is them just getting a facility to be able to manufacture it in mass. And that's kind of where we are. It was just too cost prohibitive for us to make it completely for them in China, ship water essentially across to South Africa. So we're just kind of in the midst of figuring out how they could domestically produce it, whilst obviously protecting our own formulas and the rest of that.
Okay, and then someone was asking from the audience about the update on the advanced claim for Protex 2.
I think we're still in the same spot that we were. I think as soon as we get any kind of information, we'll be certain to release it. As far as we're told, it's administrative, and that's just where we are. We're going through the process. A bit of the challenge that we've had is that a lot of the expedited timelines and the rushing of applications through have dropped away with the drop in COVID. So you're kind of at normal timelines at this point, but we expect something in the near future.
Okay, great. I think those are all the audience questions that we have. Why don't I let you summarize some of the potential news flow and value drivers for the company in the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, I think that the value drivers are going to be launching our own brand. I think that's going to be an absolute, from manufacturing direct to retail, pricing is going to be from a margin perspective. That is going to be a growth business. It's a value, it's a brand that's going to be owned by us as a company. So from a value perspective, I think that's a phenomenal way for us, where it's clearly been demonstrated that all the brands like every aspect from the technology to the design to the manufacture and quality of what we're able to deliver. So why not do it for ourselves long term, as well as be significant, because there's nobody else who can touch us while we continue to do private label and support our other our customer that that appreciate what we bring to the table. I think that the other value driver, Giancarlo and I really believe that starting Feb 1 means that the clinical trial is finished by the middle of March. It takes 2 to 3 weeks for them to write it up. So you're talking end of March, beginning of April. We're going to have a white paper that will be able to really launch into the medical industry. We're going to, as far as we're concerned, have our EPA before that, although we can't guarantee it. But from what we understand, we should be able to go into 2022 with a 1-2 punch that we've worked many years to get. And so if we put these real significant pieces together, 2022 can only be an exponential blowout year for us. I think, as Giancarlo has said, we're launching these 2 additional brands on Amazon exclusively. Our business with Amazon in our lingerie business has nearly trebled this year, just the lingerie business. So I think by adding 2 new lines where they know they've got the exclusivity and they're going to put their marketing prowess behind it, and we're going to enjoy their ability to market and sell a huge amount of product. There's no way these things cannot be anything but significant numbers for us as a business going forward. So we've got a number of different avenues that are commercial already, that are going to be commercial very soon in 2022, as well as I say, other product segments that we're working with European brands that are global in areas of business we've never done before. I just want to actually add another thing. Giancarlo and team have actually developed something that we're trying to patent, because in order to achieve certain performances for this European manufacturer, we had to develop something rather unique. And we're right now in the throes of exploring with our patent lawyer how to write it up the best way to give us the chance of getting IP on that, which is very unique and interesting. So we're growing our IP space as well, which is pretty impressive. So it's business as usual for us. We're going after market leaders in new segments. We're growing the existing segments very well. So really, 2022 is really looking for. We've also taken money. We did our raise. We've hired some really interesting new members of our team, people with great expertise. So I think our support team is growing. As we grow our sales and our opportunities, we've actually brought on some new sales team, people that really have quite a following at retail. So to bring those relationships to our company as well, and to build on what we've built on with technology in garments to their customer base, who really have been outside of the focus of our current sales team. So it's a wide array of opportunities that we're looking forward to in 2022 and beyond.
That's great. Well, thanks so much for the update. Appreciate it. And congratulations on all the success you've had so far. It's been fiscal 2021 was a fantastic year, and it looks like the outlook seems pretty strong as well.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for your time.
Thank you very much.
Bye.